Hi guys, how are you doing today? Well, I decided to start my cozy corner early. So I wish I had great news and to tell you that I'm taking everything in at one time and I'm enjoying the springtime. And I can't completely say that today. As of today, I was called in the office and told that I'm going to be laid off my job. So there is some heaviness going on right now, but I do believe that I do believe in God and I'm trusting God. I have gotten through a lot of things in my life, and I just wasn't ready for this. I saw the writing on the wall, but then I didn't think it would be me at this time. So I am still going through the shock of that. It's never easy to lose a job. I've been working since I was 19 years old, and I remember the first time that I was called in the office for this. It was a horrible place, and I took that really hard because I value my work, and it does mean my job, my work does mean a lot to me. It's the way I provide for myself, and especially the way I take care of my child. So it's never easy to be in that situation. I was in that situation once before, and I always question God, like, I need to know, Lord, what are you telling me? Are you telling me to relocate? Are you telling me to do different things? Is it just not working anymore for me here in Texas? I want to go where the overflow comes. Now, I will tell you this. I do, and I'm starting to believe that God speaks to me in visions from dreams. I do remember certain dreams I've had, even since a young child, but I realized that the dreams I do remember sort of had some sort of significance to it, and I just never forgot the dream. A lot of it has actually come into fruition, both good and bad. I will say that the senior director at the job that I was employed at, I had this very weird dream about him maybe 3 months ago, 2 or 3 months ago. It could have been more, it could have been less, but let's just say 3 months ago. And it was weird because I dreamed he threw a snake at me. Now, I was frightened, I was startled. I've never had any type of um, mishap or um, what do I want to say? I've never had any type of disagreement with him. I'm the type of employee, I have ideas and I want to present my ideas. But what I did notice is that every time I would present a new idea, he would say, oh, it's, refer back to this person. I felt like I was being cut down, that my ideas were not welcome, even though I feel they were great ideas, or there was some sort of intimidation of what I could be, which I know only greatness if I were given an opportunity to be placed in a position to win, to learn things. I felt like at times I wouldn't be promoted in anything. I even tried, I had developed a rapport with a different team overseas, and I gained their trust. They called on me all the time. I'm always in meetings with them. When I get on the call, they're relieved. And I've said I can supervise that group. In addition, I felt like I had the capacity to take on that group as well as my current roles, which the responsibilities in my current role was plenty. This company service over 500, surgery centers, but I still found the bandwidth to do it, and I wanted to grow. I've always had that issue um, with companies, no matter how hard I work. And I think at some point in my life, I feel like I stopped, trying, because it doesn't matter to work extra hard, because I wasn't going to get recognized for it. And so for the senior director to say, I guess, that I wasn't assertive enough, I wasn't, when I've always made myself available. If anyone needed me, I always tried to keep a very stable and non-hostile environment. Um, Even if it were things that I didn't agree with, I still wanted to make sure my environment was pleasant and no one would ever know. So even if it were things that I thought was, may have been sort of harsh or I didn't agree with, I remained stoic. So, you know, like I said, I noticed certain things in my role. They were pulling and distributing to other people. Then other people expressed interest of coming to our department. I feel all those things played a role. I feel, in my personal opinion, that there was. I work in a male-dominated industry, and so if I'm not part of the women's clique, I just started noticing other things like, work is work, so you don't go to work to make friends. That was a huge bee that just flew by my head. So you you don't go to make friends per se, and I always tried to keep it that. I still like to be friendly, but I can go on and on about this. It's not going to change what it is, but I do know that God is at the forefront. And I know that many of you may have experienced this. A job may, wash you out and throw you away. I've experienced this with companies when you're working for someone else. That's just the way it is. If they don't like you, or if there's, whatever their prejudice is against you, it will play a part. But God will only allow what He won't let Satan take away from you. He will only allow what He says to allow. But when He puts His hand and says stop, that means stop. And I may not feel it exactly right now, but I know, just like I came into this position, it was for such a time as this. And with everything, it just seems like all hell is breaking loose. Like, this is not the time to be going through this. This is not the time. My daughter, she is on the spectrum, so she has special needs, and she also has ADHD, and right now it's really critical for her because she has entered into the teenage years, which is very difficult, which is just another level. And I've been doing this alone. It's just been me and this little girl. But I was listening to YouTube this morning. There was someone on YouTube, and I'll have to get the lady's name. And I don't know how I clicked on this video because it wasn't really in my, well, I did have videos like that in my algorithm as far as, as far as encouragement is concerned. But this video popped up, and I just clicked on it because I have my contacts and I'm nearsighted. So my contact lenses don't support the bifocal vision, so I can see nearsighted and farsighted. So I always need the reading glasses to see things far away, or even this close. If I take my contacts off, I have perfect vision. I can read without the glasses or anything. But so I was like, who is this lady? But the thing she spoke, and I pray that God is connecting that to this current thing that I'm going through in my life. I feel like, it's not fun being alone. But even when there's people around, it's great to have that support. But they can't change what's going on inside. There's going to still be your moments where you're going to be alone and you have to go through. But what she spoke on her video was about God elevating you, and for you to finally walk into what you were called to do. And I just remembered I recorded yesterday a video about that, about me possibly thinking about going back to architecture school, and just having a passion for things in the arts. And I ended up in the medical field, and I'm finding that my joy and passion comes to with anything that has to do with arts. Like, I'm starting the treat business, and I'm trying to perfect that craft so I can get my name out there and get some orders. But the thing is that I was just saying this about myself. So I hope, well, I pray, and anyone who's going through this, I encourage you, I pray that this season um, is God redirecting me. As they said, they're restructuring the company and my position will be eliminated. It's possible, but I don't believe it 100%. I feel it also was targeted. And yeah, I'm grateful that the vice president of the company offered me to take the day off because of the blow. So I'm grateful for that. And, there's a song that says, You shall live and not die, and I'll finish strong. I'm going to need God's strength to finish strong because, if we knew what the next page would look like, um, and we can say, okay, this is what's going to happen, this is the future, so I can just chill out, there's something better. All I have is my faith, and my faith says that God is not going to close one door without opening an even abundant one. I started to try to fight for my job because it means so much to me. But then now I'm consulting with God. So I have a meeting with HR um, in about maybe 30 minutes. So I need to log in for that call and, see what else is, what else needs to be said, so that I can have all the information they have to give to me about what, the next steps are in this process. So, yeah, this is where faith comes into play, you know. This is where faith comes into play when you don't know what tomorrow looks like. Working for another company, of course, it's not your company, it's their company. And I do know, and I have learned in my 50 years that it's never, it never will matter. As if one thing I always have told friends, you can't go in and tell people where to get off at. It's their job, right? If they don't like you for whatever reason, I used to have that fight in me, but at this stage in my life, I don't have that fight in me. Obvious, I can see where, again, there's been some discrimination, especially in a male dominated industry. Just looking at others that were laid off, looking at the trend. So, of course, I'm on that trend wheel. And I never like to play any card because I always value the work I put in. But when you go in and act interested in, and gosh, it's just so beautiful right here. I'm looking at my flowers, how tall they're growing. I just gave them some plant food yesterday. But anyway, so today is kind of a sucky day for me. I'm in my cozy corner. I don't have much to say about anything super positive. All right now, I'm just like anybody else that goes through this, is that it's the waiting game and the faith game. And so I encourage, if there's anyone else who's going through this right now in their life, what I would suggest to you to get you through this the best way you can is don't beat yourself up about what you didn't do or what you could have done. It's already been designed. The plan was already in place. Go into your prayer corner and listen for God's voice if you have to fast, and ask God, what are you saying to me now in this moment? I have seen people of high caliber of, I guess, really up the corporate ladder, that in previous jobs have just wanted to get rid of me just because I was a woman, a black woman at that, and it was obvious. Everyone knew about it. But God moved them because he said it wasn't time. And then when it was time, He connected me to another job, and I was there for, I'm like, Lord, what is going on? And it was for this huge miracle that came into my life. Had I, what the devil means for harm, God will turn it around for good, and He's going to get the glory. I can say there were a lot of things, even this job came out of that. I had so many interviews. I started a company because I said, okay, I need to figure out my income. My daughter, I wasn't home. I worked a lot. I wasn't home with my daughter enough, and I was missing those parts because that piece, I didn't have that connecting piece to come in at counterpart to do that financial piece. So it was all on me. And I remember being so depressed and being like, I just want to be able to be a mom to my daughter and be a homemaker and be able to, fix her lunch, drop her off to school. I always had to have her in the before school program because the work hours didn't allow for me to drop her off when school took in. And so with this job, I had a little more leeway and leniency on that. But then when it started getting petty about stuff like that, when it, being a salaried employee, when they start getting petty about that, you pretty much know what's coming. And I knew that. So, but in that moment when I was unemployed one other time in my life, all those things I wanted to do, the first thing I did on a Monday, instead of having to go to work, I went to the park with my daughter. At the time, I think she may have been like 8, not even 8. She may have been like 7, 6 or 7. And she was elated. I found a little peace in that because I had, I was able to do those things with her. I was able to wake up and make breakfast. And God did provide. Like, He definitely provided. He provided. I didn't actually miss a paycheck. And then I had a few clients when I started my business. I did some dispatching. I learned a great deal. And whenever you start a business, you need time. You're gonna eventually fall. You're gonna have a slow season. You're gonna fail, and then you have to get back up. And I just didn't have the resources to fail and get back up. I had to return back to the job force, and this is what I returned to, this job. I had tons of interviews, very, very discouraging, and not getting a job, not getting an offer, not getting a call back. And then eventually this door opened for me. And I even when I was called about the interview, I received the message. I said, I don't know why I'm even going to go through this interview, go through this whole process. I'm not going to get hired. Anyway, they're going to go with someone else. And then when I got hired, I couldn't believe it. And then, I actually made a little bit more than what they offered me, a little more than what I asked for. I actually was getting desperate because it's tough, and it had to be straight from God. But so now I have to go back to that place and say, okay, God, what are you doing now? So you guys will be seeing a lot more of me. This is not how I wanted it to be. Obviously, I'll do my best to still encourage you. I think I'm going to do the Cozy Couch Corner encouragement session. I want to try to do it at least once a week, but I don't know. You may see more of me, as I go through this new journey. Hoping that it can help someone else who's going through it, or if you happen to see this video, if my videos go into the algorithm, get into the algorithm, you happen to see my videos at another time, then that's great. I will tell you, I have been most of my life very self-conscious about being on camera, from my voice, from everything. For me to do this right now, I think something happens to a woman when she goes through the change, because I don't care about any of that. I don't care what people think about me when it relates to that, or I care about some things that I feel is necessary to care about, in how you present yourself. But as far as what people think about me, if I feel that I'm presentable and someone just doesn't like me in a certain color or whatever, I don't care about those things. And those are the types of things that used to affect me in the past. But I say that not to get off topic, is that this is a um, this is a step forward for me. This is, I guess, a milestone for me to be able to talk on camera, because I wasn't able to do that. So right now in my life, I need to celebrate all my wins, and um, in hopes that it will get me through these next 2 months. I have pretty much 2 more months before my job ends. So I'm grateful that I have 2 months. And so like I said, I'm grateful that the vice president allowed me to take the day off with this, news. Again, I still have to get into that meeting with HR. I hope nothing has changed about the 2 months from now and between now and then. But I would say, if you're going through this, or if you feel you're going to experience this, to go to your prayer corner. I know it's cliche. Don't beat up on yourself. Don't try to figure it out. The enemy cannot do whatever God has given him permission to do. This thing in particular, I'm praying that God will reveal to me if he's catapulting me to another thing. I'm praying that this door that he's closing is opening a new door of more abundance. And I'm going to believe in that. I don't believe in that right now because it stings. But so be human, don't do anything crazy. If you're presented with this information like I was today, ask if you can at least just, hopefully I pray that you have you have a graceful management, that they will allow you and realize you're still human, and that you need a little time to process it. I have the PTO to cover it, so so yes, day one of a new journey, and I was so excited this weekend. I've been making my chocolate molds for my treats that I'm doing for the church on Saturday for the community baby shower. And this that's one of the first things I thought about. I was like, oh no, I'm not gonna be in the mood to do that. But I'm actually waiting for a delivery, for them to deliver some special molds I ordered. And after this meeting, I'm gonna go to Hobby Lobby and look for napkins. I'm not going to let what the enemy did and the demons he used to consume me. Now we'll talk about that on another video, because spiritual warfare is real. I have seen before in the spiritual sense. So I know a lot of people, because you don't have the tangible proof that God is real, hell is not real, that's just something. But the reason why I cannot agree with that is because I've actually had I've seen things, and maybe we'll talk about those things. I just need to know from God, what is it that he wants me to do next? Does he need me to align myself in a certain way? Don't try to beg for your job. Pray to God first. If it's meant for you to stay, if that company sees value in you, then you've done what you could. And maybe, as a learning experience, maybe you can learn from something. There's always room for growth. But for the most part, if you feel a way about this, talk to God about it, and don't beat yourself. Don't fall into that depression trap. It's hard because you're like, okay, this month I paid the bills. Next month I may not be able to pay the bills. And I'm grateful that, and I'm hoping that it doesn't change, but I'm grateful that I'm given 2 months before the severance. And there was talk about severance pay as well, which when I looked up severance pay, because I'm not used to this type of thing, it's not that much. I wasn't with this company that long, so I don't know what they have in store for me. when it comes to that. So we'll see. But I have seen God do things in the past, and I know that He's going to come through in some way. So you guys will be with me on this journey as well. And I like that. Maybe that little song came to my mind. I had been when I posted some of my treats. I was doing something, and then I got this email about some treats I posted, and it said I got demonetized, which I'm not even close to the viewership where I would be monetized anyway. I just created my business page with my treats, so there's a lot of work that needs to be done. I probably have to call someone, a specialist, in to even help with that. But yeah, so when I it's like the enemy was fighting me. I said I'm going to still go back and do these treats. It was discouraging. I couldn't figure out what it was, and I couldn't get in touch with anyone from Google. There's no 1-800 number. The system says yes, yes, yes. And then I figured out it was a post I made about strawberries. Apparently the system, I guess, filtered this out, that it caused, as soon as I deleted it, I'm now fully have monetization privileges again if I ever reach the point where I can get monetized. I was grateful for that. I took that down. I'm like, okay, you ain't got to worry about that. I have another page out, for those who are on that page, they can, if they want to order or show people my work, they can. But that song that came, I did some more treats and I put it out, and it said, just keep swimming with Dory, finding Dory. And so that's what I will be doing. I will be swimming. I'm going to keep swimming. I have a daughter to swim for. I have myself, my dreams to swim for. I feel that God is not done with me. There's still some things that God is doing in my life. And this doesn't make sense because I need every bit of my job and then some. I'm starting to think about the other things, but like I said, I'm grateful for being able to at least be given 2 months to work to try to figure some things out. But what I'm going to do today after this meeting, which I'm probably going to be running behind, I need to go into this meeting. Oh yeah. What I'm going to be doing today is, after I have this meeting, I'm still going to Hobby Lobby. I'm still going to focus on my treats, and I'm going to focus on how to have a positive attitude for the next 60 days. I'm just going to think about it as this is grace for me. Although not fun, grace, and that what God has for me is bigger than this, and He didn't see me elevating in that position, and that's why that senior vice president threw that snake at me, because it wasn't him in the flesh, but it was definitely the devil in the spirit. And so I refuse to give him this energy. This time I have, I'm going to go to Prayer Mountain. I'm going to pray. I'm going to look for God to guide me, because I know that I'm His chosen, and so are you. Well, I will see you soon, guys. I'm still having that event on Saturday, so as things, God says the same. So I will be posting pictures of my treats so that you can see where I start and how I progress, how I grow. All right, thank you. Love you.